time to fight that large individual, baby.
Oh, the big guy.
Here we are. We're back. KHANTENT, baby. Season 2, end Attack on Titan time. Here we go. We're going to talk about it. But first, you got to get yourself on over to subscribestar.com/KHANTENT. Give us a slim, paltry $10 for all our bonus episodes, and you will feel culturally and personally enriched. KHANTENT!
何にも変わってねえなお前は何にもできねえじゃねえかよ何にも
Well, here we are, end of season 2. People waited for it for a long time.
Wow.
Some things happened. We learned about lore and stuff.
We learned a whole bunch of things. There's a part where the guys stand in a tree and talk about their lives for a while.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good.
That was a fucked up scene.
As far as like, you know, sometimes I might criticize shows where there's like, you know, like dialogue scenes that go on for an entire episode of characters standing in a tree, but this one was so pivotal. So much shit changed, and like, just also some of these characters got their first characterization ever.
Yeah,
like
like
Bertold
Bert,
is like
yeah,
now a character. And perhaps most interestingly, and first off the bat, what the hell is his name? Armored Titan Man.
Reiner.
Reiner, who we learn has like full-on dissociative identities.
This boy is freaking out. Yeah.
He's got two whole different minds, basically, seemingly just because of Marco's death, like split him, like the trauma of like having gone through all this stuff. Like he is a Titan. He was infiltrating the team from the start. He was.
So they were 5 years ago. They were sent as warriors. There's a distinction made between the two. They are warriors from somewhere else. Them, Annie, and a friend of theirs who died along the way were coming to do something like break the walls or something.
Yeah.
And now they've been for 3 years, they've been training as soldiers.
Right.
And it appears that period of bonding and like having different priorities has just fucked Reiner's head actively.
Yeah.
And he cannot
because
figure it
like
out.
he was supposed to be basically a sleeper agent. And it's interesting too when you think about how like these characters who had been around from the start, like they were the odd ones. They were like the weird, like standoffish, like they kind of look too strong to be cadets. They're overperforming and like they're all kind of badasses and they don't talk much. But like ultimately they spent 5 years training with these people. So like no matter how standoffish they tried to be, they had all these experiences. And it seems like watching Marco die, like for him was just like, oh fuck, like regardless of who I'm supposed to be in this situation, like I just watched one of my friends die, you know?
Yeah.
And like that just fucked him up bad, I guess.
He's got the cloud strife syndrome going on. His brain's all fucked up and tangled with a bunch of identities and shit. Although I found it interesting to consider. I think this is why. Like this scene I think is the biggest one so far as to why when I was reading the manga back in the day, I was like, okay, this feels like this is being done because Reiner's identity thing here is like kind of weird and confusing, and it's interesting, but it's weird. You don't often see this in characters unless like with Cloud Strife in FF7, the entire plot is about that specific thing.
Right.
I'm wondering, we have had moments where we were like in Reiner's head narratively where he was like narrating. I wonder if this is like functionally designed to explain some of like Reiner's internal dialogue, which might have not made sense. Whereas
not impossible.
Bert never had like anything, so we don't need to do anything to like retcon him at all. I kind of felt like this was reinforcing my thought that like, I bet he didn't have everything Reiner did plotted out from the start based on this reading. I don't know if that's true. Maybe somebody knows what Isayama
Still
thinks.
makes him an interesting character.
Yeah, I don't dislike
like
it.
These whole different, like two different whole worldviews, and like because they are irreconcilable, like you don't get the sense that he is like literally a completely different person in each of these two different personalities or whatever. It's just like sometimes he just can't access some of his information.
I mean, I love the way that this information is basically delivered to us, where they're just standing in the trees, and Reiner just says to the group, like, man, we fought really hard today. I hope I get a promotion. And everyone's like, what? And they're like, yeah, I mean, I don't expect to be squad leader like immediately. And Eren's reaction to like Reiner talking as if he's like still a Survey Corps member is so unbelievably pissed off and freaking out that he's framing things in this way. I love it. Eren's reactions to everything are a treat. This entire series of episodes, and I loved it.
He gets really truly mind broken basically in this section, and like. Yeah, I like that.
There he is right there. That's him doing it right now.
Yeah, like as he's talking to them, he's just like, you guys are traitors and I will kill you. Like, I kind of got the sense, like, that I hadn't realized Reiner was saying he was about to get a promotion, but he was saying something as well about, like, getting drinks with them or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's, like, implying that, hey, like, let's all just chill out and hang out. And, like, even when he had said to Eren, like, let's fucking go back to the village with me, it's like, he really doesn't want to have to kill his friends.
No.
He would rather go home and they all pretend like none of this happened. And like, I think some part of his mind, like he's literally crazy enough that he's like convincing himself that it just will work out that way. That like, oh, if I just say let's all get drinks, everyone will want to get drinks. And so like, it's so rare in anime for a character's logic to be challenged like this. Almost always in a show, if someone says, let's all do something, it's going to happen. It's very rare that somebody's like talking for a couple minutes and everyone's just looking at them like, what the fuck are you saying?
What you're saying doesn't make sense, is impossible and insane, and you are actively a crazy character. It's explicitly clarified, and it's kind of refreshing. I like it.
I think the most refreshing part to me is that Eren is not endeared by this. Like,
there's
not in his mind like, oh, you didn't, the opposite. We were just watching Talentless Nana, which if you didn't watch that show
you should
go watch it. I know this gets more views than that. As we also said in our Chainsaw Man video, which you should also watch and read. But yeah, so, fucking distracted myself.
Yeah, it was, we were saying that, the fact that, like, it's framed like, oh, Bert and Reiner, we were sleeper agents. It really hurt our feelings to murder our friends and to, like, destroy the entire civilization. Eren's like, you are not the victim. You are not the fucking victim.
The exact opposite. Yeah, the girl in Nana had said, like, oh, you were just told to, like, become a psycho murderer. I totally, like, don't, like... She never found out that she had killed 5 people, but like in this case, Eren's like, I know you killed 5 people. I do not forgive you. I will kill you all. That was interesting, and then you've got Ymir, who's like a little bit more in reality than everybody else, and is like, look, like I'm not necessarily on like anybody's side. I'm just in love with fucking
Krista,
Historia, and I just want to protect her. And there's an amazing line she has when they're fleeing through the forest, and she's like demanding, let's go save Historia. And they're like, no, fuck you, we're definitely not going to succeed. And she's like, do you want me to show you how crazy I am? Like, bitch, I will fuck up everything for everyone. And I like that we've reached that point in this show where like, because from the start, it's been about people kind of losing their composure and going crazy. But these were the characters who were strong enough to make it through that. What will it take to make them lose their composure and go crazy, and what will be the consequences of that? Much larger than before. So it's interesting that we have, like, even though we know that, like, Reiner and Bert are, like, not necessarily supposed to be doing what they're doing in the way they're doing it. They're doing it because of emotions, and everybody in this is. Like, Eren doesn't really understand the situation he's in. He just thinks kill all Titans is the answer to everything. Everybody is kind of starting to suggest to him that maybe that's not. Like, Ymir has a line where she says something like, if you really believe what you're saying, then I have no hope for you. Like, about something he says about just, like, relentlessly murdering all Titans.
I think he was saying that, like, I'm not even willing to listen to the perspectives of, like, Bert and Reiner. Like,
something like that.
Look, I mean, obviously Bert and Reiner did horrible things, but there are elements of their story that, like, are pitiable, and, like, they're not, like, complete monsters. Who knows what put them into this situation to begin with? Maybe their parents, like, held their siblings at gunpoint and said, go destroy the walls, or I'm going to murder your friends and family. I mean, we don't know. Could be anything like that.
Eren's policy is just, I don't forgive.
He doesn't care.
I just don't forgive. So, like,
it's a childish view, but it's a pure one, too.
And Ymir criticizes him for that, but also is like, she has her own, like, ridiculous. And, like, I like the breakdown that she does of herself, of, like, realizing, like, I can't even say I'm doing this for her. I'm doing this for myself. I've always been this way. Like, ultimately, yes, I'm acting out of instinct and self-preservation and self-interest. but I'm putting that through the lens of trying to make it so it helps other people as well in some way.
Yeah,
you know?
and I mean, Eren's quest of like, killing all the Titans and stuff is like doubly called into question here when we actively learn in this section of episodes, it's basically confirmed, yes, all Titans are people that were turned into Titans. We learned this through like Connie's mom is like explicitly clarified to be that one Titan. And then, like, in Ymir's backstory, Ymir was...
that was an answer, by the way. I didn't expect to just have that handed to us. Like, there's something nice about the fact that Attack on Titan is now just answering questions just to do it. Like, that was a mystery before. They're just kind of like, oh, we figured out that it was Connie's mom, as opposed to, like, this being something that lingers in the background forever and then gets stumbled upon.
I'm really glad that they just clarified that for us, because the moral implications of that are interesting and should be applied to Eren and our other characters. Like, Levi, when learning this at the end of this episode, just says, like, are you telling me I've been like a murderer who's been killing humans this whole time?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but I'm going to cut you some slack, Levi. Not your fault, bro.
Well, we've started to get a sense of the idea that, humans turn into Titans. I'm going to say it's probably a lot like undead hollowing in Dark Souls, that, like, you either go insane with your, like, lust for eating humans and, like, after doing it just can't go back or something,
Well, let's get Ymir's backstory is the perfect example of like what this arc looks like, because so episode whatever, like 10 or whatever, we see all of Ymir's backstory in a flashback where she was like just some poor girl who, like, this is an odd backstory, but she was just grabbed off the street, brought into a cult, was given the name Ymir, and was just worshipped as a god by the members of this cult or whatever. And of course, this is like heretical to the wall of people, and this is inside the walls. So they like broke up the cult, and all the cult members. So Ymir enjoyed being like a god for a while, but ultimately, because the thing got broken up because it's anti-god or whatever the fuck, it's not allowed. This I didn't even remember seeing in like the manga or whatever. They explicitly are like taking all those people who have committed this like capital crime, not just like banishing them by like throwing them outside the walls. We can see explicitly the soldiers infect them with they turn them into Titans on purpose and throw them over the walls to go do something outside the walls. This is like the punishment they get for their crimes. And so Ymir wandered outside the walls doing whatever, probably killing people or anything for 60 years.
Yes.
So she's very old. And then Reiner and the party happened to stumble upon them, and Ymir happened to be the one Titan who just jumped up and ate one of their friends. And through that process of eating that person, woke up into her humanity again, because she had been a mindless Titan until that point, but now she is in control. So something about eating that friend of theirs, presumably another Titan shifter person, we would assume, did something to like wake Ymir back up. So maybe other Titans could be woken back up too. I don't know. But so clearly, like, Titans are humans. There is at least potential they could be woken back up, and maybe they could be controlled or something, which we'll get to more of.
Maybe the real reason that Eren had his memory wiped is so he doesn't remember that when they turned him into a Titan deliberately, they then fed him a person so he would have control.
That would make sense. But let's focus on one element. The soldiers turned these people into Titans and pushed them over the wall. What's that about, Chief?
No idea.
Why did they do that?
Is this how all Titans are created? Because now we're at that point where it starts to be like, okay, well, we know all Titans are people, so are they all deliberately manufactured? What is the goal of making them? Are the Titans going to be the good... Is Monkey Titan the good guy?
Oh, my God. I don't know. Are Reiner and Bert on some good mission and we're the bad guys all along? Who the fuck knows?
I think it's going to be more of it's probably going to be more, I hope, a war story of like both sides are wrong. Like they're both fighting under misconceived notions of what they need to do to survive.
There's this element that keeps getting said, and I agree. It does seem like a war story. That like the world inside the walls has no future. And this is why Ymir is so insistent that they need to bring Krista, because, like, sure, she could just leave her in the Survey Corps. Hopefully she'll be fine in there. But she knows there's conspiracies to do some stuff with Historia or something. And then also, the world inside the walls has no future. What does that mean exactly? Presumably that's, like, Reiner and Bert and their crew are destroying it for some reason. They're trying to wipe them out. Why? We still don't know. We still don't know why. But I sure want to know, and I'm excited to find out once we get there.
Yeah. Because I guess, we hadn't really thought about the fact that this show has an interesting knack of having so much stuff that was established at the start that gets referenced back to. I always find myself thinking, like, I get why the story was done this way, but everything would have had a little bit more impact if you knew about it before. Where, like, the show opens up with the walls getting attacked by the Titans, and, like, we know that the people have just been in there for 100 years.
Right.
But just because of the fact that, like, the show opens with them fighting Titans, it's hard to really conceive of, like, how big of a mystery it is that the Titans are attacking.
Yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
this is a coordinated thing. And so once you really fully get that grasp on it, that, like, okay, all of this is being done on purpose. We know who some of the players are now. We know that they're all taking commands from somebody. So, like, it really feels like the answer is more simple than probably it seems, where it's literally like there are two factions at war here, and both of them probably know what's going on to some degree, but nobody else does, you know? And, like, it's just a question of who's pulling the strings behind whom. Like, what if the boss of the humans is a Titan that's at war with the other Titan? And all kinds of things are possible.
Who knows? And obviously, like, the Beast Titan right now is, like, the focus of who we see at the end. We see, like, a human standing outside, this guy with glasses and blonde hair and stuff, who I happen to know a little bit about, but I won't comment on. I mean, that guy sure looks cool, and I want to know what the fuck is his deal.
Right.
But he sure seems like he's working with the other guys to fuck up Wall City.
Yeah, we have some sick battles here. I like that the show's gotten to a point where, like, death is now mostly, like, almost a punchline. Like, there's just lots of, you know, like, guys just get kind of picked off.
During the fights, there was at least one actively goofy murder scene where the Titans, a horse runs into a guy and just goes bonk, and he's like, whoa! And then another Titan, like, slaps him down out of the air. That was actively funny, and they weren't going for funny, so I guess that's a criticism, but I enjoyed it.
No, I think they were going for funny. I think it was supposed to be funny. I think they've gotten to a point in the show where, like death, like, we're not supposed to be afraid of people getting eaten by Titans. It's just to be as awesome or, like, shock. Like, I guess shock is the word I go. Like, funny and cool are kind of both achieved in the same moment when a Titan just bam and smacks somebody dead against the ground. You're like, oh shit! Like, that's the reaction they're going for, is that oh shit reaction. And, like, I think Attack on Titan is just in generally, it's a very, like, emotional show in that, like, the fun of it is that it's, like, fun to experience. Like, the characters are yelling a lot about their feelings and shit. And, like, it's not that the plot is, like I said, everybody's just making emotional decisions in this stretch of episodes. They're not basing their actions on, like, trying to further the story. They're just going crazy, you know? And that, like, could almost be frustrating in certain circumstances, if not for the fact that these characters totally, like, it's been so earned. The reason that they're going crazy is so well understood by us, and, like, the characters are reasonable and well fleshed out, and, like, you know, again, it's kind of like we're seeing these people who, even though they are, like, the hardest soldiers there are, even they are at their breaking point, you know? So we're just entering this phase of the story where, you know, because it's now Titans going crazy and losing their minds, there's way more damage to be done, way more crazy stuff to go on, and the determination of the humans who are still surviving is so massive, where you've got Commander Irwin gets literally arm in a Titan's mouth. He says, charge with one arm. That arm gets bit by a Titan, so he says, charge with the other arm as he's getting carried off.
And everyone just rides off and leaves him because he wants them to.
Well, he's saying, like, do not fucking stop, do not fucking stop.
I'm replaceable. Keep going. Doesn't matter about me. Eren is the only one who matters here. Save Eren at all costs.
And
then when they get to save Eren, who's the motherfucker who shows up and slices his fucking mouth open and saves him? It's Irwin, now with one arm down. Oh my god, it was the hypest shit I've ever seen. I fucking shit my pants.
So I got to talk about probably my favorite moment in this. So we've got...
Was it that one moment where Mikasa looks through the fingers at Bert inside, and you can just see the abject terror on Bert's face? Put that shit on screen, because that was, like, my favorite cut of animation in the entire thing.
Mikasa is an amazing character. And she gets this scene... it is a Mikasa scene that I like, but it's... So we've got the guy who saved Eren from the Titan that killed his mom.
Hans, yeah.
And just the fact that Hans was back in the show in the last batch of episodes, I was like, he's definitely going to die soon. There's no reason he would have come back if he wasn't going to die soon.
And who else shows up, did you? Another familiar smiling face.
Yes, the Titan who killed Eren's mom is there. So, like, going into this battle, Hans literally says, I will save Eren even if it costs my life. So he's like, don't even worry about the fact that I'm obviously going to die. I'm okay with it. So we as an audience are like, okay, cool, right? So he rushes in, and he's like, that's the Titan that killed your mom. I fucking got this time. I'm not afraid anymore.
He gets a chance for redemption, you know?
Yeah, so he goes into battle, and Eren's like, well, he's obviously gonna fucking die, so I gotta turn into a Titan. And it's not working. He's literally like tearing flesh off of his fucking hand gruesomely and horrifically, not transforming. And of course, Hans gets fucking grabbed, squished like a fucking grape. Pretty brutal. And
the rest of the Survey Corps is also, like, Armin is, like, flailing with a knife, trying to keep a Titan away. Really sad, pathetic thing. But yeah.
So, like, Hans' very predictable death, I'm really happy with the way that it's handled, because the way that this happens is, first he's just like,
he's actually
everything's
laughing.
Fucking crazy.
Yep.
And then Mikasa comes over, and the best way I would put it is that she brings him into her world, which is where none of this shit matters at all. It's just him, right? So she just kind of like sits with him, and she's like, she's talking to him very quietly, and there's just like chaos unfolding everywhere. This huge, awesome spread of all this crazy stuff going on. She's just like, look, man, you've always been there for me, so you know, you're great, and just get up and keep fighting with me. Basically,
I think she says, "Thank you for teaching me how to live."
Yeah,
Which is a nice line.
It's just like that moment of like, for her, none of this is real and matters, really, as long as he's safe. So, like, even, like, Hans getting crushed, like, the fact that she's able to literally look at him and just smile, like, in the face of, this guy just got killed, everything, she's just like, but you're still here, so it's all good.
I wasn't able to connect with the scene because they didn't kiss. If characters don't kiss, there's no emotion. It's not a real emotional scene.
Is this a thing someone has said?
I'm strawmanning someone out there, I'm sure. Oh, you know what? I Googled this beforehand. I was looking for clips, and there was one that said kissing scene, and it was the scene of those two, but they don't kiss in the scene. So I'm riffing on that asshole, whoever it was.
I really liked that moment of Mikasa clarity, that like it really like lets you in on what it's like to be in her mind, which is that, like, you know, people are getting crushed and dying, all this stuff, and it basically doesn't register to her. Like, she's in this other world of just pure combat action, and like, which is why it's so great when she like gives that stare to Bert and everything.
I love that.
Just
That's
like,
great.
you know,
you kind of start to feel a little sad for Bert and Reiner because they're being overwhelmed by these guys, and I'm like, you guys deserve what you're getting, but I do feel a little sad about it. You feel bad for, you know, any murderer when they're like cornered and they're desperate and they're scared and shitting themselves. It's just an instinctual thing.
I like the part where Historia is trying to argue with Mikasa about sparing Ymir, I think, and she says something like, there's a way this can be done where, like, they don't have to die, and she's just like, look, if you're standing between me and him, like, your life is forfeit. Like, just understand that. Like, I'm telling you, like, this is the only time I'm gonna say it. You know?
Eren and Ymir, choose.
She says
and,
that.
Yeah, she makes her choice.
どんな世界でも怖くないや
Luckily, that works out all right. Historia survives. I guess
Historia gets to become a badass. Every time Ymir fucks up, Historia gets cooler to save her.
That's true.
It gets like this super sexy badass scene. I had always remembered my first impression of Attack on Titan from years back, way before the anime, was people talking about it on A, and I had just known it as that manga with the hot chicks. And I had not really understood why, because when the show came out, I was like, none of these girls look hot.
Yeah.
Now I understand. It's because I had seen like some kind of group shot of Mikasa and Historia and
Annie?
Annie,
Yeah.
Like just all in like just the, you know, because like the gear out or the uniform outfit can be really hot. They just don't usually try to make it that way. You know?
Yeah, sure. But, Historia did have a really great animation cut in
she
here.
She was looking like a sexy badass, and those were the images I had first seen from Attack on Titan. So it was finally like, oh, this is what I thought Attack on Titan was. It's like hot chicks fight monsters.
We got there at long last. Yeah. Although Mikasa does get fucked up during this fight a little bit because she misjudges a thing. and she gets squished a little bit so she can't fight back as an explanation for why Eren and her are like helpless as all the shit's going to hell. And this is when it happens. And this is when Eren, seeing his old friend Hans murdered, powerless, just like when his mom got eaten by the very same Titan, he does something, and he does a big old swing and punch. Something weird's going on, and then all the Titans start to do what he generally seems to want them to do.
Yeah.
And the term coordinator is used.
Yes.
Seems like Eren, while not even in Titan form, is able to control Titans.
Yeah.
That seems useful.
And several people were expecting him to be able to do this. They just weren't sure if he could until he did. And
this
now
sure is
they're
an explanation for why Eren is so unbelievably important
Right.
to lots of people. And why they, I mean, I wonder, like, why did they need him alive? If maybe his body would have been usable. But I'm going to assume he needs to be alive for
This puts us in a crazy power scaling position for the next season, because we already know that Gorilla Man can kind of command Titans. Or, like, we
I
weren't
wonder
sure
whose command is stronger, you know? What's the
That's a good question.
power balance?
Well, and is like, because we don't know that Monkey Man is doing coordinator powers. He could just be literally able to communicate to them and tell them what to do.
Maybe.
But, like, yeah, for whatever reason, we now have two forces that can control Titans. So now we're looking at this as like a much bigger chessboard of a big Titan fight is what I'm kind of expecting. Titan War.
And
Clash of the Titans, you might even call it.
It is. Truly, the Teen Titans are go.
Yeah.
And aren't they
hell.
great?
Where they belong.
I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much exactly where we leave it. Like, they survive. They, no important named characters die in this event, except for Hans, who was always our death flag character.
Yeah, he was definitely good.
But as inspiration to
He seemed
trigger
excited to die. Like, I
well.
I wanted to feel bad, but then I was like, but he was smiling about how he was like, oh, I'm gonna lay down my life for Eren. Well, you did it,
He
buddy.
died a heroic death. He bought time for Eren to work up some. I mean, his emotional. The consequence of his death seemed to be enough to trigger Eren's recovery. Although I am wondering, just like statistically or whatever, so Eren couldn't transform, seemingly because he was still healing. Like, his fingertips are notably like still healing during that scene. I wonder, did Hans, in dying, buy them enough time for him to heal fully, and then he can use his coordinator powers? Or is it that Eren just unlocked this power and it doesn't matter that he was healing? I'm just curious.
It just occurred to me. Did we ever see how Marco died?
No.
Okay.
This is this little scene we saw with Reiner being like, "Why is Marco dying?" was like the first we've ever seen of it.
Eren definitely ate Marco, right? Like, that would be how he unlocked his consciousness, is that he ate Marco, and that's why they're so haunted by it.
I don't know. I don't know for sure. Maybe we'll. I feel like that scene has been with enough subtlety and mystique around it that we'll get back to it in more detail later.
It had to be
don't
somebody
remember.
recognizable, and I'm thinking Eren ate Marco, and that's his big I don't remember.
True.
Because everybody was like, oh, he doesn't remember anything. Like, well, you didn't remember either. And they had forgiven Ymir for eating one of their friends. I think they were trying to forgive Eren for having eaten Marco. And I think Marco was also a transforming Titan who had showed up with those guys.
I mean, he didn't seem to be in the group initially when they first got there.
Because, like, just the fact that he was like, why is Marco getting eaten? Like, it was not according to his plan.
I read that as Reiner being crazy in that moment and, like,
be.
disassociating. Because now that we know he's a Titan man, I suspect he's not as innocent in all these events that he was a participant in that we saw. But, I mean, I don't really know. And I guess I just want to keep going the way we've been going. We're getting answers. Eren's getting more powers. The Titan shifting war of power balance is going to be crazy next scene, I presume. And it was the next leg of things where I stopped reading. So I'm eager to be past that into totally new territory. And I don't know. Season 3 is like 25 episodes, like, I don't know, 20 episodes or something of content. So I think some really dope stuff's going to happen.
We've been talking about possibly doing just a week of nonstop Titan episodes to plow through Season 3, get us ready. Let us know, would you rather have, I don't know if they would rather have all one show or have variety. I don't know if people would be like, ugh.
I don't know.
Nah, we got to catch up on Titan.
We do
Titan
need to catch
coming
up.
soon. Let us. Don't let us know anything. I just like saying "let us know" in the comments so that people
You
leave.
can
I just want to
encourage
inspire
engagement.
you to have a reason to leave a comment.
Yeah, that too.
Tell me about how right or wrong I am about my predictions. That can be.
I don't want to know if I'm right or wrong in my predictions till I get there. Personally,
I don't. You don't have to tell me like what happens. Just am I right or wrong in my predictions?
Okay,
That's
be careful and delicate in your comments, people. Try to
Yes.
avoid spoilers. We're getting there real fast, though. All right, well, anyway, I mean, we've got a seasonal podcast coming up soon. We're going to juggle that around, be continuing these shows. We got a bunch of new stuff coming, so stay tuned, people. We're making cool stuff, and I hope you enjoy it.
And you better
can
give us
express
money
that.
on Subscribe Star so you can get all our bonus episodes. You get all of them.
Mm-hmm.
$10 once, bonus episodes forever.
That's true.
I mean, $10.
Hopefully you recur
$10
and
and
keep
then
giving us
again
support.
for the next one after that when it
Well, that's
comes
the
out
thing.
in-
Every month there's a new bonus, so
Yeah.
stay subscribed so you get the new bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense to me.
And then send content clips of you going, content! And we'll play them like this.